Hello everybody, we are here in the Knesset, the Israeli Parliament, and I'm together with Dov Khenin.
Hello.
Hello. Dov Khenin is an Israeli political scientist, lawyer, environmentalist and politician. You're a member of your party since 1990 and member of the Knesset since 2006. You have a really strong environmental profile, but you're not member of the Green Movement Party, you're a member of the Israeli Communist Party, which is part of the Hadash. And since the last election in 2015, your party is part of an electoral alliance together with 3 other parties. Why did you decide to be part of this alliance, and how does this affect your daily work when you always have to deal with 3 other parties?
Let me begin with my position and my party. I belong to a political movement, Hadash, which has 3 very, very important manifestations or principles. Our first principle is being a Jewish Arab political movement. In Israel we have a Jewish majority of approximately 80% and an Arab-Palestinian national minority of approximately 20%. However, Israeli polity and society is very much divided between Jews and Arabs. And this separation has manifestations also in the political arena. There are Jewish parties and Arabic party, and our movement is unique in being a joint Jewish-Arabic movement. We believe that the future of both nationalities in Israel is in this attitude of Jewish-Arab partnership, Jewish-Arab polity, Jewish-Arab solutions, and Jewish-Arab political movement. Second very important principle of our movement is our determination to achieve Israeli-Palestinian and Israeli-Arab peace. We believe that peace is totally essential, not only for the Palestinians who do not have their own state at the moment, but also for the Israelis, because if Israelis would like to continue living in this area of many, many millions of Arabs and Muslims, our only future rests with a just peace between Israel and the Palestinians. And a third very important principle of ours is that we are a socialist movement. That is, we are fighting for social justice, we are fighting for equality, we are fighting for solidarity, we are fighting for workers' rights, and we are fighting for environmental justice. For us, in the 21st century, the red should be very green, and the green should be very red, because fighting for environmental justice is fighting against the interests of those who pollute the environment in order to get profits for themselves.
But now your party decided to be in this alliance together with the other parties. Why did you do this?
The alliance called the Joint List was created before the recent elections, and it was not created because of our initiative, but it was created because the right-wing government existing in Israel raised the electoral threshold in order to get rid of us, but also to get rid of the other political movements and parties that depends on the Arab population in Israel. After they raised the electoral threshold, in a way, all these parties did not have any choice But in order to continue to be here in the Knesset, to continue to be represented here at the Knesset, to create this alliance, we created this alliance called the Joint List. This alliance now has 13 members of Knesset out of 120. It is the third political force in the Israeli Knesset, but it is composed of different parties with different ideology and different attitudes on many issues.
So how does this affect your daily work? Is it way more complicated now because you have to deal with 3 other parties?
Well, we are completely determined to continue working according to our own principles. Being in the alliance does not mean that we lose our socialist values or give up our ideas of joint Jewish-Arab partnership. But there are other forces in the alliance and they have their own opinions and their own attitudes. And therefore, for the public at large, there is some complication here because we are part of the alliance which has different voices in some issues. So it's a bit complicated, yes.
So also to get the voters. So you always said that there are 13 members of Knesset, of your alliance, and you're the only Jewish member among those 30 members. So first of all, why are you as a Jew in this Arab-dominated alliance, and how do the other Israeli Jews think about it, and what is maybe your image amongst them?
Well, let me begin with saying that I am a Jew in Hadash, and Hadash is part of the alliance. The fact that there are 12 Arab members of Knesset and only one Jewish member of Knesset in this alliance comes from the fact that Hadash is a joint Jewish-Arab political movement, but all the other political groupings or parties that belong to the alliance are Arabic. Therefore, the majority of the members of Knesset in the alliance are Arab. Now, for me personally, to be in Hadash is to be loyal to my principles. For me, I believe in Jewish-Arabic partnership. I am a Jew, I am a proud Jew, but I do want to cooperate and to be together with Arabs who share my principles and my values. So I feel completely, personally I feel great being loyal to my principles. Now, what the public at large thinks about it, well, I have to tell you that the public at large, most Israelis see the Joint List as an Arab party. And for many Jews, this is an obstacle because they may agree with us on different issues, but they will not vote for us because they see us as an Arabic party. Personally speaking, I have to tell you that I go, every week to different places in Israel, meet with very, very different kinds of groups of people, and I get, very good response. So personally, I do not have any problem with this.
I would like to speak about some of the main important political issues in Israel, and one of this is for sure the social inequality in Israel. It's one of the highest among the OECD members. Also, the poverty, the rate of poverty is one of the highest among the OECD members, and you have very high costs of living. So in 2011 there was this big protest on Rothschild, which you supported. What did change since this protest? Did the situation improve since then?
As you said, Israel has very high level of inequality and very deep level of poverty. These phenomena are not the result of nature. They are a result of policy of Israeli governments. When speaking about poverty in Israel, the most important thing you have to realize is that most poor people in Israel are working people. So the majority of the poor people in Israel are working people. They work very hard, but they remain below the poverty line. Uh, in order to fight this, I initiated a raise in the minimum wage in Israel. It was a very, very difficult struggle, and we succeeded in raising the minimum wage.
You wanted 30 shekel, right?
I wanted 30 shekel and we got approximately 28 and a half. It was a success, but it's not enough. We should continue to fight to improve and raise the minimum wage higher. Speaking about social problems in Israel, we have many of them. One of the most important issues is the issue of dwelling, housing. Housing in Israel is extremely expensive, not only to buy but also to rent. And that was a major cause for the huge social protest we had in Israel back in 2011. If you ask what changed since then, the prices of housing went up approximately 2 times since 2011. So although we had a huge social protest movement, this movement could not really change the direction of Israeli society. One of the most important things one should mention here is that while we had a very strong and wide social protest movement, this social movement was in a way very much separated from the issues of war and peace, security, settlements, Palestinians and so on. This is the reason why the social protest movement was not able to threaten the existing Israeli establishment. The Israeli establishment is really basing its legitimacy on issues of war, peace, security, and so on. And because of the fact that the social protest movement was in a way separated from these issues, it was not able to threaten the existing establishment and was not able to, change it.
And also not to affect the next elections, maybe. So
and it was not really effective in changing the political composition of the Knesset. However, social struggles continue in Israel and they exist all the time. It is very, very important for viewers outside Israel to realize that there are struggles going on here in this country, not only on the issue of war and peace, Palestine and Israel, but also on social issues. And I do believe that we will have social protests, strong social protests in the future too, because
there was one on Saturday.
There was one on Saturday because the real issues were not solved. The big challenge we have is to connect those social struggles with the political struggle, with the struggle for change in the situation of Israel in this region, to connect social issues with the struggle of peace. This is very, very important if we want to get real change in Israeli society.
And do you think the protest on Saturday has the maybe potential to do so? There have been tens of thousands of people in Tel Aviv. The protest was called March of Shame, when I'm right. Is there more potential in this protest, maybe?
I think that was a very, very important protest. It was a protest focused on the issue of corruption in the Israeli higher echelons of power in Israeli establishment, especially connected with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Yeah. However, I think that the issues of corruption are very much connected with the linkage between big money and big power in Israel, and these are very, very important political connections that we should reveal and fight against.
The next big topic I want to speak about is the society. You already mentioned the different groups in the society. You have the secular and moderate Jews with about 63%. You have the Arabs with about 20%, and the ultra-Orthodox Jews with 9 to 12%, something like that. And there's quite a big separation in the society. And I was especially surprised when I realized that in the schools, or the education system is really separated. You have schools only for Arabs, only for moderate Jews, and then only for ultra-Orthodox Jews. Why is this like this? Is it because the Jews don't want to be together with the Arabs, or the other way around? And is there any chance to change it?
I think you are focusing on a very important issue. There are different systems of education in Israel. There is the so-called national education system, which is in a way more secular. There is the national religious education system. There is the ultra-Orthodox system. There is the Arabic system. I think these separations are, a result of political calculations. I think that Israeli society should find a way to overcome them and to create a system whereby all people will get good education and can get additional religious or other education in their after school hours.
So you're on the Arab list. Is there a movement from the Arab parties to have schools together?
There are schools together.
Yeah, but I think it's about 10 schools or something.
Yes, it's very, very minimal. There is, of course, the question of language, because the Arabs have their right to get education in their own language. The Jews will, of course, would like to continue getting education in Hebrew. Therefore, the issue of language is a real issue. I would like to see all schools in Israel, with children learning Arabic from the beginning in Hebrew schools and learning Hebrew in Arab schools from the beginning. This is not the situation at the moment, but I would like to get it. This will be a very, very important step forward.
But now you have 2 years of Arabic in Jewish schools, right?
Till now, Arabic is not considered actually the second language in Israel. The second language in schools in Israel is English. I would like to see Arabic as something that Jewish pupils get from the beginning of school.
Okay. Then another question about the future of the society. We have a really high fertility rate in Israel. It's the highest among the OECD countries, with 3 children per wife on average. And especially the Orthodox Jews, or ultra-Orthodox Jews, they have 6 children per wife. And this will probably change society in the future. There was a government report which said that in 40 years there will be 30% of the society will be ultra-Orthodox Jews. What do you think? How will this affect the society in the future, and which consequences does this maybe have for the politics in Israel?
I think that demography is not a good guide for politics. You're right. There are much more children among ultra-Orthodox Jews. But who says that these children will grow up to be ultra-Orthodox?
They go to ultra-Orthodox schools.
Yes, but for example, both my grandmother and my grandfather and my second grandmother and my second grandfather, they were ultra-Orthodox.
Okay.
I'm not an ultra-Orthodox. My father and my mother were raised in an ultra-Orthodox school. They were not ultra-Orthodox. So people grow up and they change, and of course there are many, many problems with the ultra-Orthodox education system, but even there people can grow up and become, independent and free mind.
Okay. The next topic is the most popular topic, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The partition plan of the UN is now 70 years ago, and there are still not two states existing. I heard about a survey from the European Union, which from the summer, which shows that there is still a small majority, as well amongst the Israelis as also among the Palestinians, who support a two-state solution. And if I get you right, you also support a two-state solution. Why is this the best solution in your eyes, and why didn't it happen yet, despite the fact that there are majorities among both groups?
Well, it is not only the best solution, it is the only solution. You know, because there are two people, two nations living in this country. The relations between these two nations are not good. You know, they are fighting each other. The idea of one binational state is not a practical idea. It did not work in the world. Even in Belgium with the Flames and the Wallons, the joint state is not really working. And the amount of blood being shed among Flames and Wallons is much less than the amount of blood being shed between Jews and Arabs, Israelis and Palestinians. Therefore, I think that the only real solution for the conflict at the moment is a two-state solution. Each nationality having its right for self-determination in a state. And therefore, I think that the principle of the decision of the UN from 47, the principle of partition of the country between a Jewish state, that is Israel, and then a Palestinian state, is a very important principle we should fight for. Why it is not happening? Because still there are many people who oppose it. Israeli government, for example, oppose it. You are right that in Israel the majority support it, but when going to elections they vote for parties who oppose it.
And why?
And the reason is that while most Israelis support a two-state solution principle, they believe that this solution is not feasible. They support it, but they believe it is not feasible, and they believe it is not feasible mainly because that is what the leaders of Labour Party told them, for example, back in 2000, when Barak came back from Camp David and said, I offered Arafat everything, and he was not willing to accept. Now, we know for sure that this was not really true. He did not offer him everything, but when Israelis heard the leader of the moderate camp, Prime Minister Barak, saying that I offered him everything and he was not willing to accept, that is, we do not have a partner, what they get from this is that we do not have any real options but to continue supporting the right wing and to fight for our lives here because we do not have any partner.
Some also say that the problem is that there is no negotiation partner on the Palestinian side because there have been no parliamentary elections since 2006, when I'm right. Is this the problem, that there's no partner to speak with on the Palestinian side? And what do you think maybe about the reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas? Is this a chance for progress?
Well, personally, I think that the current Palestinian leadership is a partner for two-state solution. I met with President Abbas and with other Palestinian leaders, and I believe that there are good partners to go along for a two-state solution based on the 67 borders. And I very much regret the fact that the current Israeli government is not willing to go along this road. Speaking about the reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas, I think that every step in the direction of one Palestinian entity and one Palestinian address is important if we want to move forward along the road for peace.
You you often criticize, or you criticize how the Palestinians are treated by Israel. Could you maybe explain the viewers, which are maybe from Europe, maybe young, how are the Palestinians restricted in their liberties?
Well, when speaking about the Palestinians under occupation in the West Bank, the first thing we should mention is the very fact that they are living under occupation. They do not have the right to have their own Palestinian independent state. Secondly, they have a lot of problems connected with the fact that Israel deals with everything in their daily life. There are block roads in the ways. They are permitted or not permitted to go from this place to another place, even within the occupied territories themselves. And of course, there are the settlements. The settlements are, Jewish neighborhoods built by Israeli state on Palestinian territory, on Palestinian occupied territory. And the purpose for these settlements is to create effect in the ground that will, in a way, block the way forward for the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
So do you think that there is still a chance for a two-state solution? Because you mentioned the settlers, there are 400,000 settlers in the West Bank, excluding other 400,000 settlers in East Jerusalem. There is this mentioned high fertility rate among the ultra-Orthodox Jews, which maybe affects the society and pushes it more to the right. Today there's the decision from the United States probably that they will move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Do you think it's still possible that there's a two-state solution?
I think it is possible. I have to tell you, from my personal experience before being elected to the Knesset, as you said, I was a lawyer for many years, and I had, I wrote many agreements between different sides on many issues. And when someone came to me and wanted me to write an agreement for him, I asked him only one question. Do you really want this agreement? Now, if people really want an agreement, everything can be solved. If they do not want the agreement, then you can also invent problems where they do not exist. So, because I think that a peaceful solution to the Middle East Israeli-Palestinian issue is essential, both for Israelis and for Palestinians. It is essential for the Middle East, because if we will not move forward to peace, we will deteriorate backwards to war. And a war in the Middle East can be something that will explode not only the Middle East, but the world at large. Therefore, I think it is an interest of the Palestinians, it is an interest of the Israelis, it is the interest of the world, and we should fight to make it happen. There are many problems. The issue of settlements, the issue of refugees, the issue of the Jerusalem. But if we really want an agreement, we should find a way to overcome all these problems, all these obstacles, and to get a solution of justice and independence for both nations in this country, Israel alongside Palestine, in order that we will live and not, explode the whole region.
And what is the next step that has to happen? Is it the Palestinians who have to move forward, or move to the Israelis, or the other way around?
Well, as an Israeli, my main criticism is on Israeli government. Israeli government is responsible, for example, because it is a strong side at the moment. Israel is strong, the Palestinians are weak. Israel has the power, Israel has the territory, so I think that Israel should take the lead and fight for our interest, which is also the Palestinian interest, in getting towards a two-state solution in this country.
And what's the effect of Donald Trump's decision today to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and also to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel? What does this mean for the peace process?
Well, as elsewhere in the world, Trump acts very, very irresponsible. He's an irresponsible leader, a dangerous one. And I'm afraid that instead of engaging the United States in the struggle to achieve solution to the problems, is making the United States part of the problem.
And what do you think about the next days? Will there, I think from the Palestinian side they said that there will be 3 days of anger, of protest. What do you think will happen in the next days?
I do hope the situation will not explode, because such an explosion can mean, might mean people dying or being, harmed. I hope that things will not explode, and I would like to see an international initiative that will lead Israelis and Palestinians to a better place.
One of the last questions now. We are from Germany. What do you think about the European, especially about the German position towards Israel? The official government position, maybe?
Well, I think that Israel and Germany have long relationships. And I know that many Germans feel, in a way, that they have a special obligation towards Israelis and towards the Jews. I would like to tell these Germans that being obligated to the Jews or to Israelis is what this means in practice is to oppose the current government we have in Israel. Because this government is a threat to our existence in this region. The only chance for Israel as a small country to continue to live in this area, this huge area of many millions of Arabs and Muslims, is to find way to a peaceful settlement of the issues at hand. This is, for us, the only way forward. Therefore, if there are German people who care about Israel, who care about the Jews, they should be with me fighting against the current Netanyahu government.
Okay. So we will finish with one last question about your person. The Israeli newspaper Haaretz portrayed you as probably the most committed and hard-working member of Knesset, and you got a lot of awards for your work. And just in the 4 years between 2009 and 2013, you proposed 530 bills by yourself, and nearly 30 of them have been approved. How do you do this as a oppositional member of Knesset?
Well, I would like to correct you, because since 2006 till now I passed, totally more than 100 bills that I initiated are now in Israeli Book of Laws.
I spoke about the 4 years, but
yes. Yeah. It is very engaging, it is very difficult, it is not easy to do it from the position of opposition, but it is possible, and it is possible if you work very hard, if you are dedicated to your ideals and principles, and if you find ways to engage other people in this struggle, to engage people in Israeli society at large, to create political cooperation in the Knesset, because even if I am in a minority in most issues, I can cooperate with other people on concrete issues whereby we are in majority. Therefore, I was able to pass through many laws on social issues, on environmental issues, on feminist issues, issues dealing with human rights. I think that being in the Knesset means not only criticizing reality, but finding ways to change it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.